Hello and welcome to Get in the Lab, the raw truth about building a business together. As you can see, Kevin is not here. So this is my very first kicking off with a solo hour. No, it's not going to be an hour. Well, at least I don't think so. Today we're going to talk about overcoming the fear of putting yourself out there vis-a-vis like this podcast, YouTube and stuff like that. Couple of things. It's getting cozier. It's getting a little colder, which means I get to rock my Lift That Shit hoodie. So, getting in the lab is all about self-dev, self-development. You could also look at it as like, working out, getting in the gym, getting in the lab and lifting that shit. I've really taken a liking to weightlifting, even though my back is all snapped up. That's okay, because I'm going to make it better. And I could feel them gains coming along because every time I squat or do some deadlift, I can feel my spine just getting stronger, which I love that. Weightlifting, yeah, that is just on my mind. I've got to go exercise before I get sucked into the computer again. But this was actually a request from a good buddy, Raymond Sparts, and shout out to Raymond, who is running a online magazine called Enlighten Magazine, and I'll link that up in the description. I want to take some time to thank our sponsor, Audible.com. You guys watching Get in the Lab podcast here on the tube, there on iTunes or SoundCloud, and even Stitcher now, right? If you visit audibletrial.com/Get in the Lab podcast, you can get a free audiobook of your choice. They have over 150,000 titles to choose from. And this is what happens when I start talking for a long time. I just start spouting accents. And if you really know me, not too many people do. I do a varied amount of accents in my, boredom. So you may hear that today as I'm really, like I said in episode number 15, I'm really on my last limb of mental capacity to execute in our business. I'm really running low on fuel and just, energy. And I'm really ready to go to Big Bear, do some fishing, practice some fly fishing, do the whole, regular fishing, but practice some fly fishing and catch me some trout. And it's funny because I always feel just a wee bit more manly than my partner Kevin in those instances, because I have to show him how to do all that stuff, which is really fun for me. But that's something that actually goes back to me and my dad. My dad taught me how to fish when I was very young, and that's something I carried on into my adulthood. So those are the updates. We're heading out to Big Bear. My mind is almost checking out, but I've got to rein it in. I got to rein it in this week so I could pull it together for, Kevin Levu Photography and blog and all that stuff and do a bunch of online marketing. On the other side of things, the Get in the Lab side of things, got to put the show down and schedule all that so you guys are not left hanging while we are filling up our cup with wine, relaxation, nice, cold, crispy air, and hopefully some trout. All right. So, like I said, we're going to get into overcoming the fear of putting yourself out there. And this is something that I kind of had trouble kind of like wrapping my head around it, at how to convey my feelings and give a sort of presentation or speech about this. So I'm really riffing from the top of my head. So I'm sorry if it sounds like a ramble. I'm really going to try to keep it together for you. But it's a solo hour and it's my show right now. All right. So I could have asked Kevin to hop on the show, but he's very busy as well, shooting, meetings, trying to get things together before our little break. So it's just me and you and me and Spider-Man. So the first thing I think that I'd like to share with you guys in terms of this being some valuable content for you this week, as we are stepping into this sort of new entrepreneur world of online marketing, personal branding, at which you can put yourself online. And if you're aware of it or not, you are a personal brand and you are selling no matter what. When you ask somebody out on a date, that's selling. You're selling yourself. You're like, are you down with this package to go out on a date, right? So, don't get it twisted. You're selling all the time. I think slowly online marketers who are true to being of service of people, who are not scammy, who are actually genuine, who are actually selling from a, from a perspective of, yes, I'm just trying to help you, and do you jam and vibe with me, with my personal brand? And I think with that sort of movement that's been going on for the past 5 years or something like that, and moving forward, it's just going to get stronger. So with that being said, it's really going to be more of a normal thing of, yes, putting yourself out there with, YouTube, podcasting, and it's becoming really, really easy to do that. However, yes, there is a fear of doing that because we're transitioning from the old perspectives of selling and of business and, putting your life out there for people to see and to see what you truly have to offer. So, in my experience, when I started in this whole thing, this was about 2 years ago or something like that, 2012. I had quit my corporate job serving the government. I was doing hazmat. I was inspecting businesses if they were handling hazmat correctly, hazardous materials. And when I started doing this, I had an idea that I knew that I wanted to work from home, and that was basically it. I wanted to work from home. I didn't want to commute anymore. I'd been doing a lot of commuting up until that point, and it was really wearing on me physically, mentally, spiritually, all that stuff. So I knew I just wanted to work from home. And then I came across a entrepreneur named David Simon Garland, right? So he had a show, and he really emphasized the ideas of having a show and what that kind of represents and what that means for somebody who's a personal brand. And that was amazing. It really inspired me. I bought his course actually on how to create awesome interviews was the name of his course. And I was like, okay, cool. I want to do something like this. I see that this dude is successful in it. And it required me to get on a microphone, record myself via Skype, interview people, and put it out on the web. And I didn't have too much of a fear about that. My only fears were, okay, what's the equipment? How do I shoot myself, and how do I talk, and how do I speak? And all of it was really overwhelming, even though I had his course and even though I had, him as an inspiration. And he's very inspirational. He's very like in your face, pumping you up and telling you that nothing matters. Just put it out there. Just hit publish. And still, it took 6 months. I remember this because I had quit in June or something like that. And it took me until like 6, 7, maybe 8 months, like till February of the following year to actually put up my first video and actually start to execute on, asking somebody for an interview. And it was really weird. Like the first videos that I put out, I think they're still up there. I'm not really sure. If they are, then I made them private because they're so horrible. I look so serious. I think I have a little bit too much makeup on. And but that, overcoming it, there's just hitting record and putting it on the web. You just need to do that. Okay. Just know that it's probably going to be crap. Okay. Be okay with that. And it takes a lot of, I think, self-confidence, self-assuredness, and maybe it doesn't even take that. You know what? I don't think, I was 100% positive with, who I am. And I had so much self-dev to kind of go through at that point, but I didn't care because I knew that if I didn't take this step, all the stuff that I wanted in my life was going to be out of reach. And I knew that just taking this first step was going to move me along, was going to be a step forward instead of just being stagnant and sitting there. And I have a sort of tough love self-talk to myself, and to me that works. That's how I self-talk. It's a little rough. It's a little bit, shut the fuck up and lift that shit. Like that's kind of how I am, because I don't like being babied and coddled that way. I think that's my ego stepping in, where I have a little bit of pride, and it's like, well, my pride doesn't let me just sit there and not do anything. And so I kind of think, wherever that comes from, the ego, the pride, I kind of think that and be thankful for that, even though it's not the best asset. I don't like to I'm not conceited, but I have enough pride and vanity to where it's like, I'm just going to put it out anyway. I don't care. Versus the alternative, is to, sit at home and not do anything and be stagnant. So for me, those are my inner motivations. It's a little rough. It's a little tough love. It's probably not something, it's definitely not something I would say to somebody else, but talking to myself, I can take that. So I would say you'd have to know how to speak to yourself. You got to have this meta about you, right? I'm always talking about being self-aware. And when you can be self-aware, there you go. Like that's half the battle. Knowing what your issue is, and then having the courage to actually step up to the plate and be like, all right, that's my issue. I'm cool with that. That's me. I have no problems. I have no qualms about those weaknesses that I have. I understand that I'm human, and I'm going to take steps to make it better. And that's all we really can do as human beings, right? Like, give yourself a break. Tell people to give you a break. Like, hey, this is my first one, whatever. Like, I'm just trying to move forward and be okay with that. And I think that comes with time, and I think with age, with maturing within yourself. You need that time. Like, sometimes we're not ready to receive the message that we're supposed to get at that time. And that's why we have, that's why we age, and that's why we grow. Because I think at 21, you're not ready to receive the message that, getting a hangover and puking all over the place and feeling really sick, and all that stuff, all these lessons about drinking, you're not going to want to hear that. You don't hear that. You don't see that. All you see is whatever appeals to you at that time, what you're ready to receive at that time, because you haven't really matured. And there's nothing wrong with drinking and puking, I guess, but like, I think everybody kind of has to go through that, right? There's nothing wrong with that per se, but I'm just saying that it takes a certain amount of time, maturity, and I guess, just timing for you to be able to see the lessons that are presented to you. So there were many a times where there were so many red flags in my face about a certain thing or relationship or situation, and I just wasn't ready to see it, And as time progressed, when I actually allowed myself to see these lessons and these messages, my whole world changed. So, there comes a time when you've had enough of just cowering and not doing anything. And I'm going to say cower because that's what it is. When you don't hit play, when you don't hit publish. And I've had many a time where I have cowered and not done that. Most of that was when I was first starting blogging. There was so much I needed to get out and to make public. And it was such a therapeutic experience because I had so much shit that I wasn't talking about to anybody, and being able to put it in a YouTube video or to talk about it on the podcast or in an interview really began to accelerate my self-dev in a way that I would have never gotten if I didn't start doing this. So it takes a while, depending on you, depending on how meta you are with yourself and how much you see yourself as your better person. So I had this vision of who I wanted to be. It was really, really abstract, but I had a bunch of idols that I was looking at and online and reading about, and I wanted to emulate that. So that was my motivation, and overcoming the fear of being judged, or, how my face looks or how my makeup is. It just came with doing it. And so, like so many things, like I talked about in episode 15, you can't really start to grow until you're actually doing it, until you're actually in the driver's seat. And so the more that you can put yourself in the driver's seat of things and actually feel what it feels like, you're still going to be in this theoretical realm of, it could be this or it could be that. And you're kind of living in the future instead of living in the present. So what I would say, to overcoming the fear of putting yourself out there, just do it. I know it's kind of cliched and like everybody says that. But there's going to be a trigger for you that's going to make you just do it. So there was a trigger for me, right? And I just had not built up the confidence in myself because I was still learning about online entrepreneurship. And at that time, I didn't tell myself it was okay that I was still learning and I was still just kind of feeling my way. I was in the driver's seat, but I didn't know how to drive yet. Okay. So you can put yourself in the driver's seat like I did, but stall. And so saying to yourself that it's okay, giving yourself the time to figure out, okay, this is gear 1. This is gear 2. That's a little crazy. Let's go back to gear 1. All right. So feel your way around the gears, around the pedals, around all the shit that surrounds you within a new, area of putting yourself out there, via YouTube or podcasting or even writing, right? You've got to get a feel. And the only way that you can get a feel is to just do it. And while you're just doing it, tell yourself that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to push a little harder and to recede a little back sometimes because, whoa, that was hella intense. And I need a little bit of I just need to check myself before I wreck myself. All right. And I don't think I told myself that in the beginning because everything was new. I didn't have any mentors. I wasn't talking to anybody. Another great thing is to make friends with people who are doing that shit already. Like with the YouTube space, when I started, I was making videos for like a year and a half or something like that. But when I participated in Savvy Sexy Social's vlog every day in August, that blew my mind. It's incredible how many people are struggling with the same things that you're struggling with, like being on camera and how does my hair look? How much makeup should I put on? What content should I talk about? All this stuff, and such an incredible supportive community there in the YouTube space. The thing is, you have to go out there and find it. So, following people that inspire you on the net, that's step 1 before anything, right? Finding somebody to inspire you, to mentor you from afar. They don't even know you, but you're there learning from them and absorbing their content and absorbing the way that they present themselves online and on the mic or in video. I just did that. I let that kind of just permeate through me, through my eyes and ears and my mouth. And for a while, I think I found myself copying sometimes because I loved that content creator so much. It came out through my speech. It came out through my mannerisms. And that's just a compliment to them. I'm not trying to steal their gig. And once I got kind of comfortable and seeing how it felt in the driver's seat, then I could kind of get creative and expand and be my own person online and really, really discover who I was in front of the camera, in front of the mic. And you have to give yourself that time to do that, and tell yourself it's okay to experiment, to push this button, to push that button, because you're just dealing with yourself. And as long as you're not, running like crazy lab experiments on yourself, we're lab rats, right? We're lab rats here on Get in the Lab. And so we're experimenting with ourselves in a safe way, all that. But, being okay with doing that, with reaching for the stars, with receding back when when you need a break, all that stuff, like I said. So allowing yourself to become malleable, to be shaped, and at the same time still sticking to who you are. And that's kind of the fun part, because you get to discover who you are on camera. I didn't know that I wanted to do this, or how I am right now and how I'm talking to the camera. I'm actually very comfortable. It's like I'm talking to, I don't know, my cousin or something like that. I'm very comfortable with it, and I'm very proud of that, because it took me like 2.5 years to kind of get here. And if I can inspire somebody else to have that same confidence, not with, just talking in video, but that same confidence transferred into something that they thought they were deathly afraid of, or, oh, I could never do that, or that seems like somebody else, my day is made. That's a big reason why I'm here. That's a big reason why I'm doing this online. And there are some of you out there who've been reaching out to me and saying, I love what you're doing. You inspire me. Word, that's dope. And I love that. It really rejuvenates my soul and fills my cup up without even taking a vacay, hearing comments like that and interacting with you guys. So there is so much opportunity that you can't even dream of when you start to put yourself out there in a genuine form. And so if I could break it down for you right now, because I don't know if I'm going over time right here. All right, I got a little bit. One, find people who inspire you, okay? Watch their shit, listen to their shit, read their shit. Let that permeate through you. If you were like me and just was really not used to saying anything to anyone, let alone on a public medium like video or podcasting, let that seep into your brain. Just kind of get a feel for what that environment entails, what the context of that playground is, and then start to play. And when you tell yourself that I'm playing around, when I'm experimenting, you set a tone for yourself, and that it's okay to push this button, that button, to experiment, to do this, to do that. And that's your playtime. You're getting a feel for the gears, right? You're getting a feel for the steering wheel, for the pedals, and how much pressure and how much brake and whatever, all that stuff. Okay. Telling yourself it's okay to do that, and giving yourself time. How much time? I don't know. It depends on you, The more you do it, I'll say this, the more you do it, the better you will get at whatever you're doing. That's just common knowledge. Thirdly, find and seek out people, communities who can jam and vibe with you. If not a community, one person. Having one person to jam with and talk about on the same level, and they kind of understand and get it, and they kind of are shooting for the same goals that you are, that's going to be so incredibly powerful. Because 2 years ago, I could not go to Kevin for anything. So I just sat there. I didn't reach out. I didn't try to find any friends until like recently, like earlier this year. I started to make friends online. I started to reach out and be like, hi, my name's Megan. I'm looking for somebody to jam with on this topic, whatever. And that really helped. That really catapulted me to being okay with making new friends and figuring out what that felt like, and jamming with people who actually, vibed with the jam. So those would be my tips for overcoming putting yourself out there and the fear of doing that. When you turn it into play, when you turn it into something that is no longer something to be scared of, and you can run this thing on your own terms, there are no rules. it gets a lot more fun, and you'll discover so much along the way and open up so many opportunities that you never even dreamt of, which is pretty damn awesome. So, Raymond, I hope I answered your question thoroughly. I think I did. It was like 20 minutes long. So, that'll do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave a like on this video if you're watching in the tube. If you're listening in iTunes, please leave a rate and review. I'd love to hear that. Also, we're on Stitcher, we're on SoundCloud, all that good stuff. And yeah, we're off to Big Bear. We're most likely having a good time, and wish us luck for getting lots of fish so we can have some good eats. And we will see you next time on Get the Lab. Keep hustling, keep loving, and we'll see ya.